Good afternoon. I would like to welcome Richard Brady, Chairman of the University Board of Trustees, President-elect of Roger Williams University, Dr. Donald Farish, honored trustees, Mark Mandel, Chairman of the School of Law Board of Directors, honored directors, honored guests, faculty and staff of the law school, university officials, alumni, parents, family members, friends, and last but not least, the great class of 2011. Welcome to this year's commencement exercises. Renee de la Garza will now sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Roger Williams University School of Law has assembled an excellent faculty. They've graduated from the top law schools, clerked for leading state and federal judges, and have had distinguished careers in a broad range of practice settings. Their excellence is manifest in the books they publish and the many articles they place in top law reviews. They also play an important role in the advancement of the rule of law in Rhode Island, on the national, and even on the international stage. But every single one of them understands in their bones that their most important job is the training of the next generation of leaders of the bench and bar. They do so by providing a rigorous but personalized education. My faculty colleagues know the law school classroom is the foundation of a successful legal career, and they every day make real for Roger Williams law students these words from the dean of my law school. At school, you are not engaged so much in acquiring knowledge as in making mental efforts under criticism. You go to a great school not so much for knowledge as for arts or habits, for the art of expression, for the art of entering quickly into another person's thoughts, for the art of assuming at a moment's notice a new intellectual position, for the habit of submitting to censure and refutation, for the art of indicating assent or dissent in graduated terms, for the habit of regarding minute points of accuracy, for the art of working out what is possible in a given time, for taste, for discrimination, for mental courage, and mental soberness. At this time, I would like the entire faculty to now stand and accept the appreciation of the assembled crowd here for Commencement 2001 for a job well done. Faculty? I would like to single out two specific members of the faculty for their special contributions to student success of the class of 2011. Each year, the graduating class selects two Professors of the Year. This year, the awards went to two seasoned members of our wonderful faculty. The 2011 Adjunct Professor of the Year Award goes to the Honorable Daniel Procaccini, who not only teaches trial practice, but also provides mentoring to many law students as they watch him masterfully try cases in his courtroom. I should note this is the second consecutive year that the graduates have voted for Judge Proc. Judge Proc, would you stand up and accept the... The graduates selected Professor Anthony Santoro as Professor of the Year from the full-time faculty. As you may know, Professor Santoro was the founding dean of our law school, and he served as president of the university before returning home to his first love, the law school classroom, in 2002. Tony is a terrific role model for all of his faculty colleagues, teaching a broad array of business courses, indeed, in many years shouldering an overload. But Tony's commitment to his students is not limited to class time. He is perhaps the most approachable of all my colleagues, and our students lap up his sage advice. Professor Santoro, please rise to accept the appreciation of the commencement crowd. A commencement is obviously a time to look backward, but it's also a time to look forward. After a national search, we are delighted that Dr. Donald Farish will become the 10th president of Roger Williams University this summer. Besides being a distinguished teacher and scholar, Dr. Farish brings deep experience as an academic administrator. The law school community is especially pleased because Dr. Farish also, besides his PhD, has a Juris Doctor. This means that Dr. Farish survived the rigors of the Socratic method and moot court, not to mention the bar exam. He's also been the CEO of a university with a professional school. Together, this means that we will have a leader who hits the ground understanding the unique nature of legal education, as well as the special role a professional school can play within a larger university. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you to the 10th president of Roger Williams University, Dr. Donald Farish.
Thank you very much, Dean Logan. It's a great opportunity for me and something I relish very much to be able to extend my warm and sincere congratulations to the graduates as you begin the next phase of your lives. I regret that I wasn't here while you were students, but I hope to meet many of you in your new status as alums. When I graduated from law school at the University of Missouri in 1976, having served as a biology professor and going to law school part-time, I had in mind that my next job would be one where one day I could be a biologist, the next day I could be working in the law library, I could continue working in the medical school as I had at Missouri, and in my spare time I could study insects, which is what my basic work was. And it turns out there aren't any jobs like that. So I ended up working as an administrator at the University of Rhode Island. That's when I came in 1979. Yeah, well, across the bay, the other guys. But it was somewhat a shock to me to find that I had gone to one of the few states where there was, at that time, no law school. And when I moved from Rhode Island to California, I once again arrived at a university where there was no law school. And for the last 13 years, I've been working at a university in New Jersey where we've created a medical school, but no law school. So it's a wonderful opportunity for me to finally get back to a campus that has such an outstanding school of law as Roger Williams, and I'm just delighted to be here. And I tell you this story because I want to point out, just on the basis of my own career, if things don't work out for you in law school, you can always become a university president. Once again, my congratulations and very best wishes on the bar.
Thank you, Dr. Farish. This was quite a year for the class of 2011. I'd like to take just a couple moments to recognize just a few of the highlights of a great year. In the fall, the law school had the honor of hosting live arguments from the United States Court of Appeals for the First Circuit, arranged by our good friend, Honorable Judge Bruce Selya. A packed house of students saw terrific arguments, presided over by Judge Selya, Chief Judge Sandra Lynch, and the newest member of the First Circuit, the Honorable Roger E. Thompson. What made this day all the more special was that the arguments were a homecoming of sorts for two recent grads, Angie Cooper and Max Green, who have the honor of serving as Judge Thompson's law clerks. This fall was unique in another way. It featured the national release of the movie Conviction, with a star-studded cast recounting the remarkable story of our own Betty Ann Waters, class of 1998. And you'll be hearing more about Miss Waters momentarily. The fall of 2010 also saw a team of 3 L's beat 1 L's, 2 L's, and the faculty in student-faculty jeopardy. Only the second time that's ever happened. The spring was exciting too, as a team of 3 L's, Amy Broderick, Bob Kavanaugh, and John Mira, won the Tweed Cup for writing the best brief in the national moot court competition. The journey from law school to orientation to law school commencement takes years. It's a journey marked by challenges met and results today in a dream achieved. We know that few law students make the arduous journey to this special day without the help of people outside the halls of the law school. So now is the perfect time to recognize some of the people who provided valuable support to the graduates we honor today. First, of course, it all starts with parents. I would ask that all mothers and stepmothers, all fathers and stepfathers of 2011 graduates please rise and accept our thanks for what they've done. One of the great safety nets is an extended family. With the siblings, aunts, uncles, great aunts, cousins, and last and certainly not least, grandparents, please rise in order to receive thanks for their sacrifices. And finally, many law students are married or otherwise involved in long-term relationships, and these people provide so much support to a law student. Would all domestic partners, spouses, common law or otherwise, plus their children, please stand and accept our thanks for the help get listed today. As a young law school, it is imperative that we bring influential lawyers and judges into our orbit. Mark Mandel is one of America's leading attorneys for injured people. He served as president of both the Rhode Island Bar Association and the American Trial Lawyers Association. Some of you may recognize his name from his work as counsel for the victims of the Station Fire tragedy. Mark is on the podium in many capacities today. He's a trustee of the university, he's chair of the law school's board of directors, and also a popular member of our adjunct faculty. But I would be remiss if I didn't also mention one other special connection. In a few minutes, Mark's son, Zach, will be walking across the stage to receive his law degree. To bring greetings from the board of directors, I'm pleased to introduce to you a wonderful friend of the law school, Mark Mandel.
So I think in my life I've given about 400 speeches, but this is one of the hardest for me to do because, well, for obvious reasons. But I want to extend the welcome that Dean Logan has provided to everybody on the stage and off without mentioning names. But I really want to take some time to talk to our graduates, the students here, including my own students who I see here, friends I've made in this class, particularly because my son's in the class, and of course to my son, my own son. So we're honored that you all came here and to be our students. We're proud of you for your accomplishments and for your being here today. We look forward to sharing in your happiness and your accomplishments in the future. So let me just leave a message or two with you very briefly. First, no matter where you go in the world as the years go by, no matter how successful you are, no matter how many cases you win, no matter how much money you make, never, ever, ever forget to give back and to help other people. Don't ever forget that. Our legacies, your individual legacy, will be determined by your charity, by your understanding and your compassion. Your epitaph is going to be written by how you live your lives, not by any calculated effort to construct them. The good you do in the world will be the only real measure of your wealth. Second lesson, stay involved. There should be no room for apathy in your lives. You know, in the time of National Socialism in Nazi Germany, there was a Protestant minister named Martin Niemöller, and he told the story that when the Nazis came for the handicapped, he had none in his congregation, so he didn't object. And then when they came for the gypsies, he had no gypsies in his congregation, so he didn't object. And then when they came for the Jews, of course, there were none in his congregation, so he didn't object. And then when they came for the Catholics, there were none in his congregation, so he didn't object. And when they finally came for him, there was nobody left to object. Indifference has no place and is no friend to justice. Third lesson is always place your personal ethics over personal gain. The only thing you really control in your life is whether you act with integrity or not. Fourth, strive for consciousness and understanding, because without it, intelligence is just being smart without being wise. Energy is just being everywhere without really being anywhere. Even if you have integrity and that's all you have standards, but without the kindness that you really need to have, because those qualities are tempered and enhanced by understanding and consciousness. So I want to leave you with maybe the last quiz you're going to have in law school. It's not meant to be interactive, but God bless you. If any of you know the answer to all 6 of these questions, feel free to raise your hand. But here are the questions. Name me the 5 wealthiest people in the world. Name me the last 5 Heisman Trophy winners, if you know what the Heisman Trophy is, who the last 5 were. Name me the last 5 winners of the Miss America pageant. Name me 10 people who won the Nobel or the Pulitzer Prize. Name the last half-dozen Academy Award winners for Best Actor and Actresses. Name the last decade's worth of World Series winners. So how did you do? All right. The point is, none of us generally remember the headliners of yesterday, and these are no second-rate people. These are the best at what they do. But you need to know the applause dies, the awards tarnish, and the accolades and the certificates are buried with their owners. So let me give you another quick quiz. List a few teachers who aided you in your journey through school. Name 3 friends who helped you through a difficult time. Name 5 people who taught you something worthwhile. Think of a few people who made you feel appreciated and special, and think of 5 people that you enjoy spending time with. So, easier? Right. So the lesson is the people who are going to make a difference in your life and in the world are not the people with the most awards, the most credits, or the most money. They're just the people who took the time and cared enough. So I wish you the best in all you do and all good fortune in your lives. And it's an honor to have you, your families, and friends here. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. The School of Law is indeed fortunate to be able to award honorary degrees today to the Honorable Paul A. Sattel, the Honorable Robert G. Flanders, Jr., and Betty Ann Waters, Esquire. I now call upon Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Andy Horowitz, to present the honorary degrees.
Would Trustee Gerald Levine please escort the Honorable Robert G. Flanders, Jr. to the podium? Justice Flanders, your career in the law is both impressive and inspiring. As a partner in the law firm of Hinckley, Allen & Snyder, LLP, you chair the Business Litigation Practice Group. For the past few years, you also chaired the State Board of Regents for elementary and secondary education and served as a governor on the State Board of Higher Education. Earlier this year, Governor Chafee appointed you as state receiver for the financially troubled city of Central Falls. And need I add that you also served as an Associate Justice of the Rhode Island Supreme Court from 1996 until 2004. As if that were not enough, your non-legal achievements also merit some special note. As an undergraduate at Brown, you were a scholar athlete, a member of both Phi Beta Kappa and of the All-American baseball team that competed in the Pan American Games. You were subsequently drafted by the Detroit Tigers, for whom you played minor league baseball while a student at Harvard Law School. Earlier, as a halfback on the Brown University football team, you broke the Ivy League record for the longest run from scrimmage in a football game, 94 yards, in a game versus Yale in 1968. That's a record that still stands today as the longest run in Brown history and in Yale Bowl history. On a final note, I'd like to invite the entire Roger Williams University Law School family to join me in congratulating you and your wife, Ann, on your 40th wedding anniversary coming up on May 29th. Justice Flanders, for your untiring service to the state and to the legal profession, we are honored today to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, given this 20th day of May, 2011.
Thank you.
Would Professor Larry Ritchie please escort Betty Ann Waters to the podium? Betty Ann Waters, your journey in the law has been marked by dizzying highs and lows, and through it all you've displayed a dedication, perseverance, and passion for justice that is not just admirable, it's awe-inspiring. Back in 1983, armed with only a GED and with 2 young children to care for, you set out to rescue your brother, Kenneth Waters, who had been sentenced to life in prison without parole for a murder he did not commit. Today, you have a college degree, a law degree from Roger Williams University School of Law, and the stunning achievement of having succeeded after nearly 2 decades in overturning your brother's wrongful conviction. Your story has long been legend here in your hometown of Bristol, but last fall it reached the entire world through the major motion picture Conviction. In it, you're portrayed by Hilary Swank as you track down DNA evidence that had supposedly been destroyed, then join with your classmate Abra Rice and noted criminal defense attorney Barry Scheck of the Innocence Project to obtain admissions from key witnesses that they lied under police pressure. Today, you still volunteer for the Innocence Project, working to exonerate the wrongfully accused. You speak out against the death penalty, lobby for legislation on criminal justice reform, and meet with prisoners who have been freed. As Barry Scheck has aptly noted, it's not everyone who gets a movie made about her life. The amazing thing is, Betty Ann is still the same person. She's this totally down-to-earth, likable, accessible person who did this extraordinary thing. Betty Ann Waters, for your inspiring dedication to service and justice, we are honored to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, given this 20th day of May, 2011. Would Roger Williams University trustee and chairman of the Board of Directors of Roger Williams University School of Law, Mark Mundell, please escort the Honorable Paul A. Sattel, Chief Justice of the Rhode Island Supreme Court, to the podium. Chief Justice Sattel, you have reached the pinnacle of the legal profession in Rhode Island, serving for 8 years as an Associate Justice on the state Supreme Court, and for the past 2 years as its Chief Justice. Prior to that, you served for 13 years as an Associate Justice of the Rhode Island Family Court. These heady judicial accomplishments, however, are only the visible tip of a life and career of significant depth and achievement. Your public service began in 1979, just a few years out of law school, when you were appointed as legal counsel to the minority leader in the Rhode Island House of Representatives. In 1982, you ran for elective office yourself, winning a surprise victory over the incumbent to represent Little Compton. You stayed on in the General Assembly for 4 terms, including a 5-year stint as Deputy Minority Leader. In 1988, you were a Rhode Island delegate to the Republican National Convention. Your dedication to service extends beyond legal and political realms. You have served on a number of nonprofit boards and associations, including as director and past president of the Little Compton Historical Society and the Sakonnet Preservation Association, as director for the Rhode Island Lung Association, and as a member of the Rhode Island Agricultural Land Preservation Commission. You have also acted as moderator, youth group advisor, and past chair of the Board of Deacons and Trustees for the United Congregational Church of Little Compton. Chief Justice Sattel, for your untiring service to law and public service, we are honored today to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, given this 20th day of May, 2011. I now invite the Honorable Paul Sattel to make the commencement address.
Thank you, Dean Hurwitz, Dean Logan, Dr. Farish, Chairman Mandel, Chairman Brady, my fellow honorees, Justice Flanders. You know, Bob Flanders has worn so many hats over his very distinguished career that it's difficult to find out what title to refer to you to. We served together on the Supreme Court for 1 year, so I'll stick with the Justice. It sounds a little better than receiver. And Ms. Waters, you have been an inspiration to all of us in the profession, and a reminder that our system of justice, no matter how hard we strive to make it good, is not infallible. We commend you for your efforts in overturning your brother's conviction and for the work you continue to do on behalf of the Innocence Project. Distinguished guests, and if I might be allowed a moment of personal recognition, I would like to recognize my father-in-law, who's celebrating his 90th birthday, to be with us today.
All right.
Family and friends of our graduates, and most importantly, the class of 2011. I am deeply honored to receive this honorary degree from the Roger Williams School of Law. For those of you about to graduate, you arrived 3 years ago on this magnificent campus. You have learned from an outstanding faculty. You have had the opportunity to participate in exciting clinical and externship programs, and you probably never gave it a second thought. Well, I can remember the days when Roger Williams College, as it was then known, was located in a fairly rundown factory district in Providence. And the idea of a law school in Rhode Island was nothing more than a far-off dream in the minds of a handful of visionaries. Well, look at it today. We can all be very proud of both the law school and the university. It is truly one of Rhode Island's great success stories. And I'm also delighted to address the class of 2011. I'm especially pleased to do so because you are the only class currently at the law school that I have not had an opportunity to speak to since I became Chief Justice 2 years ago. I am sure that the very first call I received after being sworn in was from Dean Logan, who informed me that it has been a tradition for the Chief Justice to administer the oath of professionalism and to welcome the incoming first-year students on their first day of the school year. What a wonderful tradition, I thought. So I told the dean I'd be pleased to do it, and then I added that I was always happy to come to the law school because it is on my way home to Little Compton. It will get me out of the office early that day, I quipped to the dean. And then after a slight pause, he said, "It will be on a Sunday afternoon." Well, I hadn't anticipated this, but what the heck? Sunday afternoon in the fall, at most I miss an early season football game. It will be on Sunday, August 15th, he told me. August 15th. Now we're talking the middle of summer, golf season, prime beach weather. How could I possibly back out of this now? Well, as I'm sure you all can appreciate, Dean Logan is not only very tall, he is also very persuasive. So for the past 2 years, I have had the opportunity to meet with the classes of 2012 and 2013 on their way in, and I think it only fitting that I have this opportunity to meet with you on your way out. And I agree with the dean that it is a wonderful tradition for the Chief Justice to meet with the incoming students. That first day was a significant point of demarcation in your lives. That is the day you truly entered the noble and essential profession that is the law. Think of how far you have come in the last 3 years in terms of your abilities of analysis and critical thinking. Think of how much you have developed as a person. But don't get too cocky. You're not there yet. There is that irksome hurdle known as the bar exam, not to mention the Committee on Character and Fitness. But because I do think that tradition and history are important, I would like to spend a few minutes talking about the man with whom you will forever be associated, whose name will always hang on the wall right next to your own. And that, of course, is Roger Williams. Rhode Island history is endlessly fascinating. The first colony to declare its independence, yet the last of the original 13 to join the Union. Fiercely distrustful of a strong central government, we refused to participate in the Constitutional Convention. In fact, Rhode Islanders were so seemingly content with the colonial charter, the 1663 Charter of King Charles II, that it continued to be the state's organic document until our first Constitution became effective in 1843. Perhaps much of Rhode Island's independent and unique history was foreshadowed by the character of its founder, Roger Williams, a man of great intelligence and principle, yet undoubtedly irascible and confrontational. Williams was an educated man. He attended Pembroke College at Cambridge University and was mentored by Sir Edward Coke, perhaps the most prominent English jurist of his day. William arrives in the Massachusetts Bay Colony in his late 20s, and as a learned theologian, he quickly finds himself in hot demand. He soon receives offers from the Puritan churches in both Boston and Salem to serve as a teacher. He rejects the Boston offer because, in his estimation, the church members are not sufficiently separated themselves from the practices of the Church of England. Then, upon learning of his rude and abrasive nature, the Salem Church withdraws its offer, causing Williams to head to Plymouth Colony, where he quickly wears out his welcome and returns to Salem. In a society that prides social and theological conformity above all else, Williams was a fanatic, a true zealot. Over 150 years before Thomas Jefferson famously used the phrase, Williams wrote that the state-sponsored church opened a gap in the hedge or wall of separation between the garden of the church and the wilderness of the world. In due time, he was summoned before the court to explain his dangerous opinions about religious beliefs and practices. And in October 1635, he was banished from the Massachusetts Bay Colony. He headed for Narragansett Bay, originally settling on the east side of the Seekonk River, on land he purchased from Massasoit, the great Wampanoag sachem. He was soon advised, however, that he was still within the boundaries of Plymouth Colony, would he kindly remove to the other side of the water, which he did, landing on the present site of Providence on land given to him by two Narragansett sachems, Canonicus and Miatonomy. Other Rhode Island communities were founded by individuals as equally iconoclastic as Williams, and in 1643, he traveled to England to secure a charter for this rather amorphous colony. He was successful, although over time the charter did not completely quell the predatory efforts of Massachusetts and Connecticut to encroach upon Rhode Island lands. More significantly, it was obtained in the midst of the English Civil War and did not contain the royal seal. Its validity, therefore, was called into question after the restoration of Charles II. So John Clark was dispatched to England to secure a second charter, which King Charles II eventually granted in 1663. Now that document was truly astonishing, specifying that a most flourishing civil state may stand and best be maintained with a full liberty in religious concernments. The society it enabled was indeed a lively experiment. For those of you about to embark upon a career in the law, and most especially those of you who will practice in Rhode Island, it is worth considering this remarkable charter. The 1663 charter granted to the colony broad powers of self-governance and local autonomy. Significantly, the structure of government created by the Royal Charter was far more democratic than in any other colony. Political participation was high and elections were annual. James Madison, ever distrustful of true democracies, once said that nothing can exceed the wickedness and folly which continue to rule in Rhode Island. All sense of character as well as of right have been obliterated. One aspect of an enlightened government that the Royal Charter clearly did not provide was an independent judiciary. Rather, the judicial power rested squarely within the legislative branch. Even under the 1843 Constitution, many vestiges of the Charter remained. Judicial officers were elected by the General Assembly until 1935, when the power of appointment was conferred upon the governor. Members of the Supreme Court were elected by the House and Senate in Grand Committee until 1994. The General Assembly also retained the ability to declare the office of a Supreme Court justice vacant, a right which it exercised in 1935 by sacking the entire Supreme Court in what is known as the Bloodless Revolution. The past truly is prologue. The 1663 Charter of King Charles II is not only interesting from an historical perspective, it has relevance even to today's jurisprudence. As recently as 1999, several members of the Supreme Court said in an advisory opinion that Rhode Island's history is that of a quintessential system of parliamentary supremacy. This pronouncement added impetus to the forces for governmental reform then afoot, which eventually culminated in the ratification of a separation of powers amendment to our Constitution in 2004. The parameters of that separation are still being litigated in our courts today. My invitation to you this afternoon is that in the coming years, when you have occasion to be grateful for the very fine legal education you received at Roger Williams, or when you simply gaze in wonderment at the diploma hanging on your wall, that you reflect a little about the school's namesake and the contributions that he made not only to Rhode Island, but also to the principles of religious freedom, liberty of conscience, and democracy throughout the world. But enough about history. Let's talk about the future for a moment. That's your future. I'm reminded of a story I sometimes tell when I swear in new members to the bar. It may be apocryphal, but I think it's even more appropriate for today's occasion. It is attributed to George Bernard Shaw. The great English playwright was seated next to a venerable English jurist at a dinner party. The judge was bemoaning the fact that he had been invited to address a group of young barristers at the Inns of Court, but had been allotted only 20 minutes in which to do so. "How can I tell them all about the law in 20 minutes?" he complained, to which Shaw replied, "I advise you, speak very slowly." Well, I feel somewhat in the same position, for the truth is that by the time of the bar examination, you will probably have a greater knowledge of more different areas of the law than you may have for the rest of your career. You may have heard it said that good lawyers know the law, but better lawyers understand the cases. In other words, you need to know more than just the substantive law. You need to appreciate the nuances of the law, the practice of the law. You need to know how a particular law applies to the factual scenario presented by your client. Of course, to complete that comparison, good lawyers know the law, better lawyers know the cases, and great lawyers know the judge. It's always a fact of life. I will not presume, therefore, to talk to you about the law. Rather, I will attempt to offer a modicum of advice from my perspective as a seasoned member of the bar. You have heard it said that wisdom comes with age. Well, I'm here to tell you that sometimes age comes alone. And let me address myself primarily to those of you who may not have clear career aspirations. If you do have a definite goal, I say God bless you and I wish you well. The law can be a fickle mistress, however, especially in today's job market. The beauty of the law is that it can take you in so many different directions. So it is always good to keep your options open. As Lewis Carroll once suggested, if you don't know where you are going, any road will take you there. You may not be able to choose the first road you would like to walk down, but not to worry. Enjoy the scenery. You may find that it is just as interesting and rewarding as any other path. I also think it important that you be willing to take risks. Step out of your comfort zone from time to time. You may not always be successful, but as Winston Churchill once said, true success is the ability to move from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. Certainly, Churchill endured his share of failures in his life. I can assure you that becoming Chief Justice was never one of my goals. In fact, I was well into my career before I even considered applying to the bench. But I did become fairly successful in seizing opportunities when they arose. To be sure, there were some bumps along the way, but I never regretted taking the chances. And look where I am today, the commencement speaker at Roger Williams School of Law. It doesn't get any better than that. In a perfect world, you and I may have chosen different timing in our lives. You may have chosen not to graduate from law school during a weak job market, and I may have chosen not to become Chief Justice in a time of shrinking budgets and fiscal distress. Unfortunately, we always don't get to pick our timing. We are certainly not alone in Rhode Island. Courts across the country, including New York and New England, where I suspect most of you will end up practicing, are implementing cost-saving strategies such as hiring freezes, salary freezes, pay reductions, mandatory furlough days, shortened hours of operations, and shutdowns. I think we have fared reasonably well in Rhode Island, comparatively speaking. We have not had to close our courtrooms or lay off employees, as many states have. Our level of vacancies, however, primarily in our clerical staff, is precariously high. For a period of time, jury trials were suspended 1 day a week, just to give our clerks time to catch up with data entry and document filings. Unfortunately, a lack of resources hinders our efforts to improve our infrastructure and modernize our courts. We plan to increase our efficiencies by converting all of our courts to an e-filing system. I am confident that we will do so in your lifetime. I'm not so sure about mine. We have started the process in the Workers' Compensation Court and will add the other courts as funding becomes available. My message to you, therefore, a message that all of us in the profession need to spread, is that the judiciary is not just another state agency. The judiciary is an independent branch of government that performs an essential and core function in a free society, the administration of justice. And to state the obvious, the quality of judicial services that we are able to provide in our courts has a tremendous impact on the quality of legal services that you will be able to provide to your clients. And as is all too often the case, the burdens of a weakening economy fall disproportionately on those least able to afford it. As the cost of litigation increases, the demands in such areas as landlord-tenant, foreclosure proceedings, and child support modifications become more pressing. A fundamental principle of our jurisprudence is expressed in the following words: to no one will we sell, to no one will we deny or delay right or justice. You won't find those words either in the federal or state constitution, not even in the Charter of King Charles II. Those words date back to 1215 in the Magna Carta, perhaps a seminal document of Anglo-American jurisprudence. You will find today, however, chiseled in stone above the entrance to the United States Supreme Court, the inscription, "Equal justice under law." If these words are to represent anything more than an aspirational platitude, we must all work assiduously to make them a reality. Many of you have already done so through your participation in the several fine clinical programs at the law school. All of you can and should do so by devoting a fair share of your time towards pro bono representation. And it is also why I'm announcing the creation of an Access to Justice Coalition in Rhode Island to expand access to civil justice for low and moderate income and disadvantaged people in the state. The coalition or commission will bring together representatives of the court, the bar, legal aid providers, the academic community, and hopefully members of the legislative and executive branches, as well as community organizations. Its charge will be to assess the civil legal needs of low-income litigants, develop strategies to meet those needs, and then evaluate progress on an ongoing basis. I believe it is our responsibility, not just those of us in the judiciary, but all of us in the profession, to ensure equal access to justice for all people. And in that regard, I wish to thank your own pro bono collaborative, especially Eliza Vorenberg, Suzanne Harrington-Stepman, and your fellow student Amy Goins, all of whom have been instrumental in bringing the Access to Justice Coalition to fruition. Finally, let me offer an unyielding principle for you to follow, whether you choose a career in law or not. Never compromise your ethics, morality, or reputation for anyone or anything. As United States Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia said, "Brains and learning, like muscle and physical skill, are articles of commerce. They are bought and sold. You can hire them by the year or by the hour. The only thing in the world not for sale is character. And if that does not govern and direct your brains and learning, they will do you and the world more harm than good." To each of you in the class of 2011, and to all those who supported you both emotionally and financially, I offer my heartfelt congratulations. Your graduation today marks a significant achievement in your life, but I can assure you the best is still yet to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Justice Sattel, for those thoughtful remarks. At this point in the commencement ceremony, the 16th for our School of Law, I invite the class valedictorian, Jenna Wims-Hashway, to offer some remarks on behalf of her class. Jenna?
Good afternoon, President Farish, Dean Logan, members of the Board of Trustees and Board of Directors, members of the faculty, honored guests, and members of the class of 2011. Speaking on behalf of myself and my fellow graduates, I'm here to tell you that law school can take years off your life. The work, the stress, the worry are really only the beginning. add to that the special moments that each of us has experienced at some point over the last 3 years, like arriving late to Professor Teitz's class, or looking up from a fascinating G-chat only to realize that your name has just been called and you're suddenly on the hot seat, or showing up for your very first law school final only to stare in disbelief and horror as your laptop crashes. Suffice to say, I have many more gray hairs today than I did in 2008, and I owe at least a few of them to Professor Ritchie's steely-eyed gaze and Professor Colt's green pen. By my calculations, law school has shaved about 20 years off my life. In the fall of 2008, I was 44. I'd never texted, G-chatted, or looked at Facebook. The first time a fellow student told me, "Wow, he really blew up your spot," I had to go to Urban Dictionary for a translation. But I'm proud to say that thanks to my time at Roger Williams, I now know that there are really only 2 seasons, flip-flop season and UGG season. And while I'm still a little hazy on the difference between beer pong and Beirut, I do know what an ice luge is, or at least I've seen pictures. And as many of you know, I've come to embrace tater tots as a perfectly respectable breakfast food. Let's hear it for the tots. That's not to say I don't have my lapses. After my Con Law 2 final, I had to Google to hear Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. Many thanks to Professor Goldstein for that permanent earworm. I've also learned a lot about my fellow classmates. And in that respect, I'd like to address their parents here with us today. I have had the privilege of a unique perspective. I'm the same age as, or to my horror, older than many of you. Yet I've lived the same law school experience as your kids. So I'm here to tell you categorically, your kids are amazing. They have worked harder in these last 3 years than either you or they thought they could. They excelled in areas that don't necessarily show up on a transcript. They won honor for Roger Williams in moot court and trial team competitions. They taught street law to high school kids in South Providence. They gave up their spring break, their summer, or most of their free time to work for those in need through the Pro Bono Collaborative. They got a head start on making a difference in the world by working in the mediation, immigration, and criminal defense clinics. In a less serious, but no less satisfying vein, they kicked the faculty's butt in the annual Student Faculty Jeopardy competition. And they did all of this in addition to their law school classes, most of the time while I was looking for a place to take a nap. They're amazing. They're smart, sure, but they're also kind and funny, and fortunately for me, accepting. I worried when I started law school that, given our age difference, I wouldn't have any friends, and it would be a long and lonely experience. But this class, like the classic tortfeasor, takes people as it finds them. This class focuses not on our differences in age or background, but on what we have in common. And we shared so much in common. The members of the class of 2011 cheered each other's successes and supported each other at setbacks. I couldn't be prouder than to call them my friends. This class is familiar with setbacks. We started law school in August of 2008, and about a week later, the economy hit the skids. True, we were a little too busy at first, focusing on Professor Sachs' distinction between mens rea and actus reus to really pay attention. But thanks to many a classroom digression by Professor Chung, we're all now well aware of what the economy has done to the legal job market. Graduates, I know it's hard not to worry, but unless you traded in subprime mortgages, and with the exception of Artie Petropoulos, that seems unlikely, it's not your fault. This is where it pays to be 47 and not 27, because at my age, it's just easier to take the long view. I've seen economic cycles, lots of them. They pass, This will pass. And when it does, you have all the tools you need to succeed. The teaching, support, and guidance of the faculty have opened our minds to new ways of thinking. Your own passion, drive, enthusiasm, humor, and compassion, combined with the knowledge and skills that you gained here, have made success merely a matter of time. And when that day comes, I can't wait to hear about all of your triumphs, whether by Facebook, GChat, or text. It's been said that the happiest and saddest words are, "This too shall pass." Those words comforted me while I was writing my 1L brief, but now they remind me of how swiftly this marvelous day will end. Time is relative. This speech, so long to you, the listener, so short to me. I'd like to say so much to my wonderful teachers and classmates. So before I end, let me fulfill that time-honored and admittedly presumptuous duty of offering gratuitous advice. Remember that life is short. It's too short to worry about things beyond your control. It's too short to let fear hold you back. It's too short to miss a chance to thank the family and friends who supported you. It's too short to miss an opportunity to thank your parents. My own parents, Ella and Cody, would have so loved this day. Remember also that life is long. I have a friend who reminds me when I'm impatient that there's all the time in the world. It's never too late to change your life, to try a new path. Believe me when I say that you can have a completely undistinguished undergraduate academic career with a transcript that's really best forgotten, and then decide in midlife that you'd really like a do-over. I highly recommend it. It's also never too late to tell people what they mean to you. You have meant the world to me. I have loved every minute of my time here with you. And now I have to go out into the world and play with people my own age. What fun is that? So before I go, thank you, class of 2011, for taking years off my life in the very best sense.
Thank you, Jenna. As you leave the familiar grounds of law school to undertake a career in law, I challenge you to retain that sense of hope and optimism that you brought with you to your first day of law school. Remember the lessons taught about personal and professional responsibility, so that you will always be proud of who and what you are. And keep ever in mind that as a lawyer, you are empowered and indeed duty-bound to make a difference in the lives of your clients who you will serve and the society in which you live. And now, of course, the moment we've been waiting for. We will now confer the law degrees and present degree candidates for the class of 2011. Will the candidates for the Juris Doctor degree please rise? Chairman of the Board, Richard Brady, I certify on behalf of the faculty of the School of Law that these candidates are eligible for the degree of Juris Doctor.
By virtue of the authority granted by the State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations and delegated to the Board of Trustees of Roger Williams University, I confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Will the candidates please come forward? Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Andrew Horowitz, will present each candidate.
Danielle R. Lemieux, magna cum laude. Catherine Ann Primiano, summa cum laude. Amberly Meredith Levesque. Emma L. Haritos, cum laude. Kaylee Jean Folster. Esther Capinos. Rebecca S. Carey, cum laude. Amanda Lee Walsh, cum laude. Kelly A. Bennett. Jessica Lynn Deese. Michelle A. Bissett. Andrea Maria Jose Vasquez. Kate L. Early, magna cum laude. Misty Grace Delgado, LMCJ. I'm sorry. Jenna A. Serini. Matthew Clay Casey. Jenna Wims Hashway, summa cum laude. Rebecca Aitchison, cum laude. Rachel Miriam Shubstar, cum laude. Jessica Ann Shelton, magna cum laude. Kristen Francis Giordano. Stacy L. Dwyer. Elizabeth Ortiz Esquire, cum laude. Heather Ann O'Connor, magna cum laude. Greg Rosenfeld, magna cum laude. Lieutenant Peter Stallion Kalo Jr., cum laude. Edward W. Stravato Jr., magna cum laude. Zachary M. Mandel, magna cum laude. Ashley Marie Texera. Nicole Helen Lutz. Irene Constantina Chipolitas. Jennifer Lynn Ibar, magna cum laude. Brian A. Hara. Christopher A. Rosino. Nicholas F. Pereira, magna cum laude. Oh, magna cum grande. He threw me a curveball. That was clever. John D. Brems, cum laude. Diana K. Simpson. Ian Paul Anderson, cum laude. Ariana L. Morazian. Jessica Laura Deshane. Stevie Joe McDonald. Maria R. Corvese. Teresa Marie Santoro. Michael J. Messolella. Jacqueline Susan Roleri, cum laude, LMMA. Katie L. McManus, magna cum laude. Andrew Joseph McElroy, cum laude. Mary Kate Judy Geary, summa cum laude. Marissa Lee Janton, magna cum laude. Catherine Starr Shaughnessy, cum laude. Diana Catherine Peretti. Catherine Elizabeth Blythe, cum laude. Matthew Cadillac Crowder. W. Timothy Blake. Justin Edward Pruitt. Peter Francis Spencer, magna cum laude, LMMA. Robert James Kavanaugh, Jr., magna cum laude. Shad Michael Miller, magna cum laude. Miles August Udy. Christy M. Diorio. Andrea Renee Shapiro, cum laude. Joseph Court Miller. Angela Fernandez Alves. Jennifer Acosta Calaflores. Erin Belkis Tasova. Jason Gabriel Cooley, cum laude. Anthony J. Massoni. Andrew Todd Redmond, cum laude. Stephen Ryan Deering. Taylor Johnson. Eric A. Friedman. Thomas Jackson Miller, cum laude. Thomas Evans. Alistair C. Deans, cum laude. Justin C. Bonus. Marissa Ruthven, cum laude. Lauren Victoria Ianelli. Melissa M. Bojekian. Jessica A. Downing. Adam L. Powers, cum laude. Shannon M. O'Neill. Emily DeBrill. Lauren E. Bilodeau. Samantha Marie Johnson. Pamela L. Cunningham. Aaron A. Greenlee. Caitlin Claire Kylie Sanders. Susan Elizabeth Guthrie Thomas. Gretchen Lowry. Kelly Nardoni Rafferty. John David Mira, magna cum laude. Colleen B. Conway. Lauren Jean Mack, cum laude. Jennifer Christina Ulak. Zachary W. Augustine. Philip G. Dalton. Glenn Michael Robinson. Jenna R. Algie. Robert John Mount. Amy Christine Broderick Esquire, cum laude. Sarah Elizabeth Scahill. Rhiannon Selena Huffman. Eric James Johnson. Jeffrey D. Basting. Benjamin J. Getch, LMMA. Christian David Connolly. Taisha K. Vaughn. Alicia M. Sansone. Emmeline M. Anderson. Thomas Samuel Hage. Clay Parker Arnett. William C. Cornish. Scott R. Gilman. Jennifer L. Spavins, cum laude. Darcy A. Fisher. Vanessa I. Sampalis. Andrea Artemis Marisotis. Monica Jane Burbello. Erica L. Pilisi. Ryan D. Smith. Eric Peter Wallace Hall. Timothy J. Varro. Jared B. Arader, cum laude. Scott Paul Clark. Chris William Zulis. Antoinette Curry. Diana Marie Cortez Esquire. Lynn Marie Lorison, cum laude. Ashley Breon Reed. Mary Elizabeth Barriolo. Jacqueline M. DeSanto. Mark Coburn Hamer. Adam Calker. Kurt A. Rocha, cum laude, LMCJ. Daniel Drews Hirschman, cum laude. David Herbert Lavelli, cum laude. Michael F. Crow. Adam C. Smith. Carolyn J. Ward, magna cum laude. Paul James Thibodeau. Vanessa Jill Stevenson. Calvin Lewis Skyrick, LMMA. Jason Thomas Sutton. Michael R. Shelton. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the class of 2011.
I want to close these commencement exercises with just a brief request familiar to fans of writer Garrison Keillor. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch. Before you depart our lovely campus, I encourage the graduates and their families to join us over at the law school building for some light snacks and the chance to shake hands, hug, pose for pictures, and celebrate one of life's signal achievements. Thank you, and would the audience please be seated, remain seated until the platform party and the graduates have filed out. Thank you very much.